Welcome. The application of the San Francisco Foundation contains an expanded financial history section. This tutorial will help you navigate the fields and provide guidance on the data that we are requesting. The financial history section is a table in Part 1 of the application. The Foundation has provided a link to an Excel document that we recommend giving to your accounting or bookkeeping staff to complete, then transferring the numbers to the online application. The form also provides a series of calculations based on the financial history. We ask for comments on these calculations based on certain thresholds, and again we ask this section of the form is copied into the online application. This will provide the Foundation with a summary of financial position and provide the opportunity for you, the applicant, to explain any variances in the annual data. The Foundation has added comments to the form. If you click on the cells with the red squares, you will see notes about the definitions of each line item. This tutorial will use a 990 and an audit as examples of where to find financial data. At your organization, you may need to use your accounting system to generate financial statements and use those reports to find the data. Again, we recommend working with your accounting staff to ensure accuracy in the data. Because we recommend completing the Excel version of the file first, then transferring the data to the online application, we will focus on the Excel document. The top of the form allows you to identify your grant number and organization name, then enter your organization's current organizational budget. Enter the grant amount you are requesting and the total project budget. If the grant is for core operating support, please leave this section blank. The income statement section of the form is next. The next fields require you to use your accounting system, 990, or audit for the last 2 most recently ended fiscal years. If your year-end was recent and you do not yet have an audit or 990, please use your draft financial statements. First, please enter the year-end dates you are using for each column. The revenue and expenses fields require the total revenue and total expenses for your organization for the last 2 years. This data can be found either from your draft financial statements, audit, 990, or accounting system. Revenue and expenses will be either on the statement of activities, profit and loss, or income statement report, depending on your accounting system. On the audit, you will see the section for revenue. Please use the total revenue line item. Below the revenue section is expenses. Again, please find total expenses and enter this into the Excel form. On the 990, revenue and expenses section is on the first page, Part 1 of the form. Line 12 gives the total revenue, and line 18 is total expenses. Please note that the 990 has 2 columns just as the audit does, one for prior year and one for current. Please use the correct column based on the year. The balance sheet portion of the form asks for key figures regarding your assets and liabilities. You can find this information in your financial statements, on the balance sheet, or statement of financial position, again, depending on your system and the report names. Assets section is first, cash and equivalents. This is an item on the balance sheet that reports the value of a company's assets that are cash or can be converted into cash. Examples of cash and cash equivalents are bank accounts, marketable securities, and treasury bills. On the audit, you can see the line item for cash and equivalents. On the 990, please look under Part 10. Lines 1 and 2 must be summed to get cash and equivalents. Current assets. This represents the value of all assets that are reasonably expected to be converted into cash within 1 year in the normal course of business. Current assets include cash, accounts receivable, inventory, marketable securities, prepaid expenses, and other liquid assets that can be readily converted into cash. On the audit, you can see the line item, Total Current Assets. On the 990, Part 10, lines 1 through 9 must be summed to get total current assets. Total fixed assets. This represents the value of all fixed assets and include items such as land, buildings, and equipment. On the audit, you can see the line item furniture and equipment. On the 990, Part 10, line 10C represents the fixed assets. Total assets is the sum of all current and long-term assets. On the audit, total assets is the last line in the assets section. On the 990, total assets is line 16. The liabilities section is next. Accounts payable. An entry that represents the entity's obligation to pay off short-term debt to its creditors. The accounts payable entry is found on a balance sheet under the heading Current Liabilities. Accounts payable can be found on the audit balance sheet. On the 990, liabilities are Part 10 on line 17. Total current liabilities. These are a company's debts or obligations that are due within 1 year. Current liabilities appear on the company's balance sheet and include short-term debt, accounts payable, accrued liabilities, and other debts. On the audit, find the total current liabilities line item. On the 990, you will need to sum lines 17 through 19 for total current liabilities. In this case, the organization also included other liabilities from line 25, which represents a current liability to be due within 1 year. Secured mortgages and notes payable. This is the total amount of mortgages and other notes payable to financial institutions or other third parties that are secured by investment or other real property as of the end of the year. Secured mortgages would be listed on the balance sheet under long-term debt. In this case, the applicant does not have any. On the 990, secured mortgages and notes payable would be listed on line 23. Total liabilities is the aggregate of all debts an individual or company is liable for. Total liabilities can be calculated by summing all of short-term and long-term liabilities. On the audit, there are no long-term liabilities. Therefore, total current liabilities and total liabilities are the same line. On the 990, total liabilities is line 26. Unrestricted net assets. The last line on the form, unrestricted net assets. These are assets that have no external restrictions regarding their use or function. Unrestricted net assets are listed on the 990 or audit. If you are unsure of this number, please speak with your accountant or bookkeeper. On the audit, under net assets, you can see an unrestricted line. These would be your unrestricted net assets. On the 990, in Part 10, on line 27, this line is your unrestricted net assets. This completes the tutorial on financial form data entry. Thank you for joining us here at the San Francisco Foundation. If you have any questions, please contact the Foundation's program staff. We are happy to help you.